At Ritzville, I experienced my first taste of the West, a terrible dust storm. The dust was so thick in one area, the State Patrol had a truck with huge floodlights on the back to lead each car through the dust area. It was a nightmare. When we reached Pasco, there was a big sign on the road. I turned to read it, and in big letters, road closed. We came in Richland, and as Frank pointed out, the library, post office, etc., all I noticed was the lack of green and how small the trees were along George Washington Way. Our first home was at 707 Coast, out in Richland Village, and it was here that we entertained our first guests, Mel and Jean Fott, University of Idaho friends of Frank. We were very lucky in that respect because his friends in Idaho at the university were all engineers, and this was the place to come. Yeah. So right off the bat, we had two different couples that had been his friends in University of Idaho, and so we had friends right away. And that was great. At the time in Richland Village, we were using furniture rented from a store in the uptown area. Our rent in the village was $85 a month for a two-bedroom house. That was not terribly well constructed. I remember doing some cleaning right before a dust storm came up, and afterwards noticed a nice little sand dune inside the back door. Why did anyone bother to do any housekeeping in those days? Richland Village was a haven for stay-at-home mothers with small children, and I made some good friends immediately. That's, you know, people who, as Frank said, who didn't want to be in government housing or were waiting. That's where they were, and everybody was from someplace else, so that was your first question. Where are you from? So coffee clutches were very popular for morning entertaining in those days, and I was happy to entertain and show off my new wedding guests in the bone china coffee cup and saucer collection that I had. And joined a bridge group there, and it was just a delightful place. Frank did hand in my application for librarian, and I did get hired by Richland Public Library, probably, I might have been in June or July. Their catalog librarian was going to go into, oh, I can't think what they called it, but it was the United States Library, and it was abroad, and it was in the different areas where we still had troops, and so they needed a catalog librarian desperately. Well, I didn't know cataloging was not my best forte in college, and when I got my master's degree. Did not care for cataloging, but that's what they needed. The day I hired on, she also hired on a secretary. This was Doris Roberts, the librarian. She was wonderful. But she ignored me, and she got the secretary going. So the library was a Quonset hut building, had been a Ford garage, and had been turned into a library, and it's out over here now where the police station is in Richland, between George Washington Way and Jadwin. And the catalog office was way in a back corner, and I can remember sitting there at the desk. Oh my gosh, tears coming down my eyes. How do I get started with this, you know? So I finally shook myself and took a book off the cart and looked at it. So right about that time when I got my job, our name did come up on the list for a house, and it was a 3-bedroom prefab, and it was up on Willard. And so we moved in, and the rent, I think, for that place was $35. So it was like from $85 to $35. We had $50 more a month to spend, you know. That was great. So anyway, we moved into the house, and we had to buy furniture. So we went to Richland Bell to buy furniture, and they had been there for a long time. And we met David Rosser, who was an interior designer, and he was a big help, and they were having a sale. So we got, it was a great name of furniture. Heritage furniture, couch, and a bedroom set, and 2-bedroom sets. So because my folks were coming out to visit us that summer. We had to have some furniture for a guest room, and we got a darling round table with 4 chairs for the kitchen area, and it was that, not plastic, but I can't think what they put on the tabletops, but you see them now and you think, oh, why did I, in antique stores, and you think, why did I ever let that table go, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we had about $1,000 in debt, and we thought, oh my God, you know. Start off right away with $1,000 in debt for furniture. And the house had these crazy windows that had a huge, I think 4 windows in the front, and windows streaming along the sides, all the way, windows to be covered. Mm-hmm. So we went out and we got a secondhand sewing machine, and I made draperies. They were short like that. The windows were not very big, all for the rest of the house, and got a couple of sheets and made those into pleats. Mm-hmm. We pleated those and made those into draperies for the front room. Anyway, so we were settled. Mm-hmm. And let's see. Then, then 1958 came along, and the houses did go up for sale. Mm-hmm. And our house was about in the last area to go up for sale. And by this time, we had had a son. And I must tell you about that before I get into selling the house. When I told Doris that I was pregnant, and this was about a year and a quarter into working for her, and she thought, oh my gosh, because GE said if you could only work, if you got pregnant, you could work 5 months, and then you had to quit the job. She says, well, we just can't have that. So she went and she spoke to Mary, I can't remember Mary's last name, about she needed me. So they let me work until 2 weeks before my due date, which was a good deal. Yeah. And I was fine, you know, all that time, mm-hmm. but it must have had something to do with insurance, G coverage, you know. Yeah. But anyway, so when I had Davy, it was at Cadillac Hospital, and when I first got pregnant, I went to Dr. Chase, and I think the deal with him was every time you came, which would be once a month for a while, and then it would be twice a month, and then it would be just about every week, you'd pay $10. So your doctor bill was paid by the time mm-hmm. the baby was due. And I don't remember what the hospital bill was. I meant to get out checks and look, but I didn't have time. And I'm sure some of Frank's insurance maybe covered all of mm-hmm. it, I'm not sure. But anyway, the week he was born, which was May 20th, 1958, the temperature hit 100. Mm. It was horrible. In those days, houses had swamp coolers, and they were miserable. They were noisy, and they just were miserable. I don't remember if our prefab had a swamp cooler or not, but if it did, he got rid of it and he went out and he bought a GE air conditioner mm-hmm. and he put it in the window nice. Of the prefab so mm-hmm. that it was nice and cool when we got home. That summer made records for 100-degree weather or more. Davy got all these cute little clothes for summer wear. He lived in a diaper all summer long. We couldn't even go out. Mm-hmm. It was so hot. We couldn't go out until evening. We just stayed in the house.
Yeah, because were there no parks or any place that was really had shade that you could even go?
That's right.
Yeah,
there weren't. There were parks because, you know, Richland wasn't designed to have parks. Mm-hmm. That was the architect who designed the houses and put the town together. He did make sure there were parks, and mm-hmm. there were. And there were also little shopping centers and lots of areas around town. In our area on Willard, up on Wright, there was a shopping center, Denso Drugs, and it's still there. And beside it was a big grocery store. And then down on Jadwin and Comstock, I think it is, there was another shopping center. And so there were neighborhood shopping centers all around town. There was one up on Williams and Stevens that had a grocery store. And someplace you could get your hair cut. And a laundromat, things like that. So you could walk to these places and grocery shop. They made it very handy for the people. And there were also then the parks. You go around Richland today and you'll find these parks all around town. It's very nice to have all this greenery now. They weren't so green then, but now.